Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the brand new 2022 Netflix original miniseries created by Ryan Murphy, starring Evan Peters, Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. So this is 10 episodes long. It is very hard to watch. Very hard to watch. It's you've seen, not everybody, but a lot of us have seen various, documentaries of Jeffrey Dahmer, this and Jeffrey Dahmer that, right? He's been in pop culture for years. He was famously murdered in 1994 and in prison, went on a killing spree, not a spree, but from 1978 to 1991 until he was finally caught from police after one of his victims actually escaped and then brought cops back. But just awful things. Drugging guys, necrophilia, cannibalism, dismemberment, aside from pedophilia and sexual misconduct. The list went on and on. But this was the 70s, 80s, early 90s, so there was a lot of leniency because he was a white male with blonde hair. Why would police not, take his word for it versus the other victims, the Black, brown, and Asian individuals that he, massacred. So we know the stories, right? There were 17 victims. His first was this hitchhiker right out of high school, when he was right out of high school. So when what was that? The Ross Lynch Jeffrey Dahmer movie called My Friend Dahmer. It was based on a graphic novel series, and that was neat. It was an interesting take on, not a take, but it was an interesting side of the high school Dahmer prior to the killings, right? This is the killings, this is the trial, this is the aftermath of the families of the victims, this is the, epilogue, if you will, of what happened after death, more civil suits after death and such. Still no memorial to the 17 victims at the apartment complex in Milwaukee that, Madison, I'm sorry, not Milwaukee, Madison, that Madison, Wisconsin, that the killings were happening. But you had Niecy Nash playing his next door neighbor Glenda throughout this entire thing, and she did an incredible job. We're used to watching her play comedy, and she did an incredible aspect of this drama. Evan Peters is a god amongst us mere mortals. We've been a fan of his since Kick-Ass way back in the day, and then Kick-Ass and American Horror Story came out the same year, now that I think about it, 2010. So we've known and loved Evan, since, Kick-Ass and since American Horror Story. Coming into, we know he could do, he's worked with Ryan Murphy on thousands of episodes of American Horror Story. So we know he can do drama, we know he can do horror. So him in this Jeffrey Dahmer role is just disturbing because he did it so well when you compare it to actual interviews, screen to screen kind of a thing. Very, very hard to watch from the victim perspective, because every time you watch a documentary, anytime there's an interview, it's always Jeffrey this and Jeffrey that. Victims are mentioned by names, it's explained what happened to the victims, but the victims have stories. And this show shows the stories of the victims. There's a whole episode 6 called Silence, just killed me. He was with this guy Tony for a bit, who is deaf, Black, and gay, and we get Tony's story. When he was in the delivery room, his mom getting the news that he's deaf, and his family, taking care of him all these years, and him being independent and wanting to be independent, wanting to be a model. Jeffrey would tell people that he would, if they come back to his apartment, he'd take photos of them. In a modeling aspect, he'd give him $50, he'd give him $100 if they take photos of him. That's how he lured the 14-year-old Laotian boy, Korak, back to his place. So it's very, Korak's brother, excuse me, alcohol was his brother, was Korak himself. It's interesting watching the stories of victims, the aftermath, what happened next, what happened with the lawsuits, what happened with the civil suits. Lionel Dahmer, his father, tried to figure out, was it his fault this entire time? Bad parenting, the divorce. His mom had suffered antidepressant, but she had a lot of mental problems to begin with, when she was pregnant with him. So all of the pills and stuff that she was on, prescribed for her, did that have anything to do with it? There was a lot of, who do you point a finger to? Why did this happen? Why did the police do nothing to prevent this? Why did the two cops that let that 14-year-old boy go back into Jeffrey's care, who then later was killed and dismembered, and only parts of him were found? Why did they get reinstated to the police force? Why is one of those individuals a captain now? It's a fail in government. It's a fail in the judicial system, which we see within the court processes, various court processes. It's a fail within the trust that we have within community leaders, and that's why having Reverend Jackson come into to play, as he did within the actual trials and stuff, coming into, speak on behalf of the minorities that were destroyed. Why was nothing else done to prevent this from happening? So it's a nice change of pace. That's the best way to say it about this show. Nice. It's a nice change of pace that it's not Jeffrey focused. Yes, it's called Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. I'm well aware of that. But it's everybody else's stories who were involved. It's the apartment complex residents' story. It's the victims' stories. They're named. They have backstories. They're humans. They have actual stories to share. Very important to see that, because they're not just names on papers. They're not just names on missing people flyers. They had families. They had lives, and it was taken from them. A thing that creeped me out the most, and I've known this for years. Jeffrey had a mannequin, right? So seeing him obtain the mannequin, very disturbing. Now, I have 3 in my room right now. They're in Halloween costumes. How many more do I have? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 11, 12. I have 12 mannequins in total, right? They all dress up for Halloween. They all do their thing. 3 of which stay in my room year round. 2 of which just get changed into different outfits per the season. I got my first mannequin in 2010, 2 months shy of my 20th birthday. So I was 19 when I got my first mannequin, Kip. And Kip was intended for, fashion purposes, design a shirt, look how something looked on him prior to me. We are totally different body types, but that was the purpose of getting him with Christmas money. And then I remember there was like a Jeff Dahmer documentary around that time, and everybody was like, wow, you're going to pull a Dahmer now because you have a mannequin. And I was like, why would that be a connection? But it was always in my head, the more mannequins I got. And I was like, that's just such a creepy thing. Oh, I have 12 mannequins at home. They all have names. It's just seeing him obtain that mannequin. And now that I know the difference between plastic mannequins, fiberglass mannequins, support in the calf or support in the heel. The mannequin that they got for this show was awesome, and I really want to know what mannequin that was. It was so cool. He was silver, very cool. Disturbing as all hell watching Jeff lay with him and things, right? Disturbing. His poor grandmother finding the mannequin in the bed under the covers. I don't do that, and I'm glad I don't do that. It was very hard to watch. That caught me off guard, because that's a literal close to home bit. I have 12 mannequins, so it was the thing. The rest of them, like I said, 3 stay in my room year round. They change their clothes. I change the clothes for them. 3 of them have Halloween costumes, right? We got Freddy Krueger in a corner there. We got Sam from Trick or Treat over there. We got Ghostface over there, right? So I got disturbed on that front, but on the horror aspect, the true life crime aspect, yes, it was disturbing watching the things. It was disturbing watching the faces Evan made, eating meat, and very creepy show to watch. Knowing the story, knowing the failure of the judicial system, knowing the failure of the police department in that particular spot in Wisconsin. But it's interesting that a lot of people are obsessed with the show now, of course, because of the amazing storytelling, the amazing actors. But a lot of the people haven't seen previous documentaries or stuff. Like, people are upset about Katy Perry lyrics or Kesha lyrics that they mentioned Jeffrey Dahmer's. But that was like over a decade ago. Like, why weren't you mad about it a decade ago? You're mad about it now? Of course I feel bad for the families, again, having to relive it again. But it's different. And I can't even say a but it's different this time, because there's stories of the families. You're not just looking at pieces of paper with faces, missing person this, missing person that. It's This was a story. This was a what did Tony's mom had a beautiful speech. You know, these were people who like to tease their sister and who love their moms and things, right? Very important speech. Oh, I got chills during that. I got chills during Glenda's speeches. I got chills during a lot of this. I got really choked up in a lot of points, and I got really icky watching certain scenes. It was very hard to watch certain things, and everyone did an incredible job. If this doesn't win all the awards, I don't know what quantifies as winning awards, because this was incredible. It's for a project to make you feel gross and question, why did this happen? And why was this allowed to happen? And why is there still no change within the justice system? Very interesting, and it gets you fired. It gets you. It's a conversation piece, but it's a well done conversation piece. I can't even say it's an appropriate conversation piece, because none of this was appropriate. It's just icky. I felt gross watching this, but it's very important to see. This is American history. It's unfortunate, but this is the country that we live in. It's changing. But sometimes the hurricane has to destroy everything before the rainbow comes out. So here's to the better days, the sunny skies, and the nice colors in the sky. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.